Hi, I'm Royal Seeley, and today I'm going to be reflecting on my chords of 2022. Specifically, I'm going to be looking at main pieces that I wore and chorded a variety of different ways throughout the year, and see how my thought process changed over time as well as what I think now. I was very active last year, and I went to a total of 18 meets, organizing a little more than half of those. So I was wearing Lolita a lot. And while this doesn't cover all of the chords that I wore in the past year, these are just the ones that I have photographs of. So I thought it would be fun to look back and reflect. Now, the first one, I was very strong right out of the gate in 2022, and I went out on January 1st to get myself started for a year of Lolita chording. And it's kind of basic, but it is a chord with Patissiere in the Forest by Metamorphose Temps de Fille. And this was a pre-order that I did back in August, and I was excitedly waiting for it. And I believe it ended up coming later in the year than I expected. So I only really wore it out once or twice before the end of 2021. So 2022, I was starting the new year and I was ready to show off Patissiere in the Forest. And we have kind of a basic chord here. So I've got a simple black ruffle trumpet sleeve blouse in black, as well as just some black over the knee socks. And here I try something different when pairing a blonde color wig. Usually I go for brown since my hair is darker, so it's easier to blend. And then the lighter ivory shoe to sort of match with that wig color. A pretty basic chord, and I feel like it really captures where I was at last year, especially in the beginning, where I was still getting my footing. So a lot of the times I would chord in either just black or just white because it was something safe and comfortable and I had access to. I don't really have too many comments just because it is a more simple casual chord, but I think it started the year off right for me. Coming up next, I wore Patissiere in the Forest yet again for one of the earlier meets, and it was just starting to feel nice out. So when I got Patissiere in the Forest, I didn't realize until I started learning a bit more how difficult it would be to sort of balance or coordinate this kind of main piece. It is a plaid tartan type pattern, and then you have a pretty busy border print. And it's a shade of green that you don't see that often. And while there are many flecks of colors in the border print, I feel like without adding patterns to blouses, it is a little more difficult or tricky, at least for my current level. So when I think of Patissiere in the Forest, typically I think of an autumn, fall, like the harvest, holiday season. And when I did this chord, I specifically wanted to bring it outside of that, fall and autumn mood and bring it more into spring, because the forest is also alive during the spring. And for that, I just did a simple puff sleeve white blouse, and I had a dogwood flower brooch here. I've got this pink berry jam canal wig from Dreamholic, and I also have these little bird clips, and these are actually ornaments for a tree, but I saw them in the shop and I thought they were super cute before getting into Lolita. So I bought a bunch of them since they're really easy to just directly pop them in and then you're ready to go. So an accessory and maybe not the traditional path that you would find one. I got the socks in both the antique white and the black from this set. And I was kind of nervous about the antique white since they look really grayish silver in the stock photos, but I feel like chording this JSK in this way really changed the way I see the print. And I'm looking forward to maybe trying to chord it with pinks, maybe some light blues, some sky blues this coming year. Next, we have what I think would be my first way of stepping outside of the black-white paradigm when it comes to cording and introducing a color that is seen throughout the print, which is red. You get this in the pie as well as all the little like sweet treat decorations throughout. And this was really cool. So this was a meet at a local botanical garden in autumn, so the meadow was in bloom when we walked around and it was really pretty. This was also my first try at coordinating a pattern sock that didn't come with this JSK, and I really like the way it looks. It's kind of crazy because all the photos I have of this coordinate, these socks and the blouse look like they're completely different colors, and the gradient looks a lot harsher on the legs than it is in reality. So I promise they're closer than they look. But all in all, I really like this coordinate, and I would definitely wear it again and maybe change some things here and there. That red bow is actually the bow from the blouse, and that's something that I like to do when I want to match the blouse, but I don't have a good equivalent. Meta bows are really easy to do this with if you get a bobby pin, because you can just snake it through the center part that the ribbon goes through. So if you haven't done that, that's a fun little trick. Second main piece that I wore in 2022 was Metamorphosis Cats and Cherry Cake. And I don't own this dress anymore. I sold the dress and the headdress, but I kept the socks. So when I got this, I initially was waiting for Patissier in the Forest to come out, and I think I was just getting kind of anxious. It was supposed to come before Cats and Cherry Cake, I believe, but it ended up coming later. And the more I looked at this print, the more I liked it, and I still really like the color scheme, and I like the print a lot. But I had some difficulty with the material, and I think it's just everyone has their own preferred materials. So the weight of this poly is heavier than I'm used to and heavier than some of my other dresses. I have a Me Likes Tea petticoat that can usually get the job done really well, but when I wear this, or when I would wear this JSK, I would notice minimal poof on a 5 or 6 layer petticoat that in some of my other pieces would be like at the max. On top of that, the overskirt that it came with, while very beautiful, there was no attachment point to it, and the slippery material of the poly, plus there not being any buttonholes to attach the overskirt to, it made the overskirt slide down throughout the day. It was kind of frustrating to have to adjust that throughout and to have to worry about it, and it was to the point where when I tried it on at home and I noticed that happening, I didn't even wear the overskirt because I was like, well, I don't want to have to worry about it while I'm out and about. I'm someone that when I wear Lolita, I want to be able to do all the things that I want to do in it, and that just was a little too high maintenance. But I love the headdress, I love this print, and I honestly think that if they came out in a different cut of it, I would give it another go. Like if this got a mini length release, I would be interested. But I did keep the socks because the socks are surprisingly versatile. The part that the cats are on usually get covered by the skirt or your ankle strap on the shoes, so it looks really good. Here we are, basic white coordinate. Nothing really to write home about. I think the snow and these types of sacks and mint blue colorways, it just looks really pretty. So if you're somewhere with snow and you have something in that colorway, could be an idea. Next time I wore this, let's see, I don't think it's actually that different. I think I just swapped out the shirt and the shoe. But I wanted to show this because it's one of the only other pictures I have of me wearing this JSK. So I have some red buckle shoes from Access Femme, and then I can't tell because of the quality of this picture, but It's either a short sleeve white shirt, which I'm thinking it is. So again, not straying that far. I think if I still had this, it could be fun to do lavender or pink since there is lavender cakes in the print. So I was already kind of making my mind up about not wanting to keep this dress, and I decided I was going to wear it out one last time just to see if the thoughts had changed. And the thoughts really hadn't. This is the max amount of poof that I achieved wearing this dress with the same petticoat. But it is really cute, especially with a nice red low heel. Up next was a cord themed for the location. We went to an art museum and I had this N Shang or NSG Oil Painting Seeker Series JSK that I got off of Lace Market. And there's a couple things about this dress. This is one of the earlier pictures I have of me trying not to cord with just white or black. And I think that the colors of this JSK, the oil painter, the painterly aspects of it really lend to things like reds, light blues, and browns. So here I am with the red blouse that I own from earlier, and then I got two of the chest bows that came with the blouse, and I just put them right here. I didn't have any red socks at the time, so I just wore red tights and layered some short ruffle socks with that. And I think maybe I would have changed the color of the shoe or the sock if I were to do this again, because they kind of blend together. This was a nice one to put pearl accents into, and I really like pearls, so for that I really liked it, and I would love to have another ship dress, but ultimately I ended up getting selling this dress for several reasons. It was much too big for me, and it didn't come with waist ties or the pearl belt that was shown in the picture. So I actually had to get this pearl belt somewhere else, which if you don't have a pearl belt, it's a really good accessory, especially if you're into classic or marine style prints that have a lot of pearl print detail. This dress was actually way too big for me. And I didn't realize until after the fact, way after, that the Lace Market seller actually sold me the size up. So while I should have been within the ranges, I wasn't. And it took me a bit to notice that, so that's on me. But yeah. I tried to add corset lacing to this JSK, and I really considered modding it heavily and seeing if I could rip it apart and add in maybe like a ruffle panel. It ended up not working out. Something about the fabric, when I tried to add a corset panel or the loops for the corset, the string would just go straight through. The corset wouldn't stay. So ultimately that's why I ended up selling this dress, but I still really like it, and I'm on the lookout for a couple of other ship-themed dresses. This was again the last hurrah of this dress. I wore it with red last time, and then this way I took it, I feel, very differently. This cord was for a steampunk tee specifically, which is why I think it's corded a little differently than I normally would. I've got the brown belt, and then it came with this chest ribbon that I had a really hard time working with. I just don't think it was that flattering for me, and then being too big didn't help either. So I wore this meta blouse with capelet, and then I ended up pinning the bow there to kind of connect the busyness of the skirt portion with the blank space that is on the bust and the neck area. I mean, I don't really have any comments about it. I think this is a pretty alright cord. It's nothing too crazy, and it was really fun for the location. So I really want another ship dress. Alright, so this next set are my cords that I did with Baby, the Stars Shine Bright, and their Marine Island JSK. The first time I wore this dress out was to my first Lolita meet ever at an aquarium, and I wore this same mint short sleeve ruffle blouse and these handmade mint and white wrist cuffs, as well as some jewelry that I got from, I believe it's Magical Girl Me on Etsy, and she has a YouTube channel as well, so she has a lot of seashell related accessories. So I got all of the mint ones, the ring, the earring, and the bracelet. And it's one that I felt like it didn't work, but I wanted to make it work so badly. So for my birthday, which was about 6 months after the first meet I went to, I thought I will go back to this cord and try to rework it. And also a little silly because I'm a Pisces and it's a marine print. So here we are. And I introduced inspiration from other types of pastel and J fashion. You can see it with the decor clips. And those are ones I wore with the first version of this cord as well. The lemon accessories are from Asami Moonland. Yeah, so I really like that because when you're out on the beach, what's more refreshing than lemonade? I feel like that's one of the quintessential drinks that you have when you're on the beach. So I'm really pulling in that like beachy summer feeling, even though it's winter and it was very cold. So you can see from the Meta jacket. I layered these pink leg warmers over this sort of minty green tight to tie into the main piece more, as well as the pink clips, which I got from Dreamholic, and that wig is the same wig I'm wearing now. It is Dreamholic's Hime Ringo, but in their blue colorway, and I feel like with this navy coat from Meta, it really matches well. I think if I were to change something about this overall cord, I don't know if I would wear it again, but if I had to wear this again and I had to swap out one thing, I would swap out the ivory shoes maybe for like navy shoes. But I think it could be kind of hard for me to find a navy platform that gives the same sweet vibe, since the shoes are also scalloped, so that kind of goes in with the overall beachy theme. So up next we'll do the coat off reveal. Here you can see more of the mint that I had going on. And it was really fun, and I found out that a lot of my friends in the comm also have March birthdays. So it was really fun to get together and be able to celebrate birthdays with so many people. Yeah, I really like it. I think this is the most successful I've been at cording this specific mint blouse with this JSK, but you'll see later on in the year I try to go back, but with some finer editing, and I feel like that's a little more successful than this cord. Up next, it's kind of another difficult picture to see, but you can make out, I think, enough of what I'm going for. I had been focusing on mint for this pink main piece, and I think at the end of the day it's because I don't wear a lot of pink outside of this. This might be my only pink piece, or one of the only ones, but I really would like the mint, the sax, or the navy colorway, so, and a different cut. So I think because I wasn't really satisfied with the pink of the JSK, it was holding me back from exploring the colors that were already within the JSK, which is purple. So that's what I'm doing here today as well. It's kind of hard to see. I don't know why I showed it like that. So it's kind of hard to see, but I've got this lavender blouse underneath, these pink and lavender clips. The fashion mask for the day is lavender, and then I'll unbuckle this so maybe you can see. So it kind of goes better with the purple shells of the turtles, as well as the purple ribbon printed on throughout. But this one I'm really excited to wear out this summer. It's cold right now, so the caplet stays on. Wearing the purple with this JSK was revolutionary because I feel like it allowed me to see the print in a way that I hadn't before. This is one of the 2 aquarium meets of the year. So I wore this print again at the aquarium, and this is like not a great photograph, but I don't have many great photographs from that meet. We've got the return of the mint handmade wrist cuffs, and instead of using that mint ruffly blouse, which I feel like wasn't doing me any favors, I don't really like the way it looks all the time. So I have a more like saxy, darker, in between shade blouse, and it matches the mint or like the sax colorway of Angelic Pretty's Dream Heart shoulder bag perfectly, which shows up a little better here. So I wore it with that, and then what you can't see here, and I'll put a picture of it, I had these pink tights that had this darker, saxy, muted color as well. I do kind of a mismatch of bows. I was lucky that I had this random bow that was the exact same shade. The only thing I'm not crazy about is like this dangling thing. That would work better for a different flavor of cord, but I don't think for this one. And then the same shoes. So 2022 is when I realized that I can't keep wearing the same shoes forever, because I have these two shoes, same shoes, one in ivory, one in black. And the end of 2022, when I was putting this together, I realized that I was really limiting myself on how cohesive my cords could be. And I'm excited to say that I placed an order through Lolita Collective, and now I have a pair of Sacs and a pair of lavender shoes. Yeah. So 2023 has been a great year for shoes. They just came in last week, and they fit very well. Up next, we have the Twinkle Journey Underbust Cords. I bought this through Mega Sale that Meta did last January. I wore it a couple times, but I didn't wear it all that much because I wasn't really sure what to do with it. This one is weird. If you watched my wardrobe video, I go through it about how I feel like it's a really beautiful piece, but it's one that when I don't wear it, I don't think about it. But once I put it on, I feel very inspired. So here we have a plain Jane coordinate. It's very casual. We've got the short black blouse from Meta, and we've got the short ruffle socks also from Meta, and my ivory Access Femme shoes. So that's my actual hair that you're seeing, and I kind of like that with how dark my natural hair color is, and the underside being this blonde color. I felt like it mimicked that light and dark feeling. And the head bow that I'm wearing is actually the detachable waist bow from a winter Lolita jacket that I own. And it took me a really long time to eventually get an actual Lolita head bow that was black and white. So I'm excited to wear this piece another time with an actual black and white head bow, instead of having to put a headband through a detachable waist bow. It's important to be resourceful when you have limited accessories. All in all, nothing to say. It's a pretty safe cord, but I still think it's really cute. So this is a cord I wore, and I was really excited for this meet. It was a science center, except I missed my train and I tried to drive up to it, but everywhere I was going, it was like accident after accident, road closure after road closure, and I got like 40 minutes out from my location to this location, and I was like, I just can't do this. It was not a safe situation that day. Not the shoes that I would have worn at the meet, but these were my backup shoes that I had for after the meet when I just wanted to give my feet a rest on the ride home. I ended up doing my groceries and going to the farmer's market, that kind of errands, in a casual coordinate with my partner. And the mint of the Me Likes Tea clip-on bows that I have here paired really well with the green of my checkered Vans. I think this is a really cute casual look. You can't see it, but I do have a little unicorn necklace on, and it's gold, but the eye is green, so that's pretty cute. Coming up next, we had a black coordinate, we had a white coordinate, so now we're stepping out of our comfort zone with a pink coordinate. So it's just a simple pink bodyline blouse and the pink bow clips from Dreamholic in my Hime Ringo wig. Not much to say. I think I noticed that the Roji Roji socks I have, their pink seems to be very faded, so I think I should probably get some better pink socks since I have some difficulty highlighting that here. Definitely want to mess around with this piece more this year. I am keeping my eye out for other cuts and previous releases of this JSK. But for this one, maybe I'll try to do some of that like Saxy blue that is in there and that navy blue as well. Because I do have some blue shirts now that I can mess with. And with the addition of those Sax shoes, I've got options. So that's the first half of coordinates that I did for 2022. So far we've gone through Patissiere in the Forest, Cats and Cherry Cake, NSG's Oil Painting Seeker Series, Baby the Star Shine Bright, their Kuma Kumia's Marine Island 2 JSK in pink, and Metamorphose Temp Defease Twinkle Journey Underbus Mid-Length JSK. So stay tuned, I'll be recording the second part of this video, which is looking over the second half of my 2022 coordinates pretty shortly. So thank you for watching, and if you want to see more of my comment, you can find me on Tumblr or on Instagram at Royal Sealy. And I'm thinking about starting a dream with or maybe a live journal, because I really like that blogging style of Lolita. So if you have any suggestions for places where I could go, let me know. And yeah, thanks for watching.